You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network.
Fabulous.
Live with the very latest food, beverage, and travel trends.
Amazing.
Now here's the host of our show, Mr. Randall White.
That's right. Hello, everyone. A very good day. You have arrived at California's numero uno place to talk about our state's food and beverage scene with a local, seasonal, and sustainable focus. This is Eat, Drink, Explore Radio's Market Fresh Hour. And later on the program today, we are speaking with a gentleman, Paul Novak, the president of Whole Vine. Now, that's a California wine country company that takes the leftovers from our state's multi-billion-dollar harvest crush and turns those skins and seeds, some pulp, into a valuable and nutritious food products, including flour, among one things, some oils that you can cook with, and then some final products like cookies and pastries. So we'll have that coming up in just a little bit. Then after that, we're now solidly in the month of September and turning the corner on what's seasonally uber fresh at your local farmer's market or at your favorite grocery store's produce department, wherever you may shop. Here in California, we happen to grow most, if not all, of the fruits and vegetables coming into season, including pomegranates, superfruit, many people call them. We'll speak with a man who is the second generation of a well-known pomegranate growing family in the Central Valley, just south of Fresno, where many of the pomegranates are grown. We'll learn some history of this fruit. I believe it's originally from the Middle East, where they're mostly grown here in California, because I think they tolerate a pretty wide region of the state, including some of the colder areas. The best months to look for them, we know that they're just getting started now, but how much of the year can you find a good ripe, fresh pomegranate at your farmer's market? And even some tips for using them. The seeds, the juice, lots of uses for our friend, the pomegranate. But first up this hour, it is our Cookwell with Courtney segment. The last couple of times we had wellness chef Courtney Coleman on the program, we had such a great response from listeners, we decided to bring her back on a regular basis. And she is literally just getting into the studio here. And so we decided to have Courtney back on a regular basis to talk about all of the different wellness things that she is really good at conveying to the listeners. In fact, her website is called cookwell.org. And Courtney joins us in studio right now. Courtney, yeah, you can pull those off. That's not plugged in. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. You'll have to listen to me this way. So, hello, Courtney. And so you are a regular chef that goes out and teaches people how to cook so they can be better health-wise and those sorts of things.
Yeah, when their doctor tells them to get off white sugar, white flour, too much commercial meat, all that stuff, they don't know how to make
I'm sorry. I'm just going to have you pull that microphone nice up and close to your mouth so that will it reach much farther than that?
That's good. That's good.
Have to have you sort of lean forward.
Okay.
I just want to make sure everyone radio-wise can hear what you're saying.
Okay. So, when people's doctors tell them to get off processed food and they don't know how to make it taste good, that's where I come in. And I come to their home and do small groups or privates in people's home. And I also teach at New Frontiers and now Central Coast Culinary on Monday nights. Oh,
fantastic. New Frontiers, a grocery store in San Luis Obispo, and Central Coast Culinary. What is, I haven't heard of that.
It's wonderful. It's a little cooking studio downtown. Debbie Dugan's awesome cooking studio. There's a huge wraparound bar. She can fit 18 people there.
Nice.
And they can come around and cook and get hands-on practice.
This is right in downtown San Luis Obispo?
Yeah, on Parker Street, right behind Smart and Final.
Okay. Well, What a great resource.
I know. It's a wonderful venue for the hands-on practice because people aren't confident with knife skills and they don't know how long to saute things and if those ground spices will burn in the bottom of the pan and what to do. And there's just a million nuances to it. You really want to have a mentor.
And healthy food, like you were saying, it's some people. Well, I'll give you an example. I was out to eat this past weekend, and I asked if I could get something made vegan, and the woman said to me, it was a baked potato. I was in a restaurant, and I just wanted it. I said,
no butter.
What toppings? Yeah, what toppings do you have back there that I can throw on this? She goes, would you like grass on it? And I was like,
the waitress said that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And so everyone was kind of laughing at the table, and I didn't want to turn it into an ugly scene because you're out to have fun, not to pick a fight. So I was like, well, no, we eat a lot more than grass, believe it or not. I'm like, and so, I ended up getting some broccoli on it and whatever and some green onions, whatever they did put on it, it was delicious. But,
you could have said coconut oil. I mean, they probably don't stock good virgin coconut oil, but I think more restaurants, if they were using that as their high heat cooking oil or the more expensive clarified butter from a good quality butter, we would have a healthier world for sure. Those refined vegetable oils are what go trans fatty with heat, and that in conjunction with saturated fat from coconut oil or butter causes the blockage in the arteries.
Right.
If you think about indigenous people who never get heart disease, they're not doing two things. They're not eating packaged foods like cookies, crackers, and chips, and they're not going out to restaurants or cooking with canola oil at home. Canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, vegetable oil, all these refined, denatured oils, boom, form long-chain trans fatty acids with heat and pressure.
Yeah. And we've said it time and time again on this show, more people die in the United States from heart disease than all other causes combined, which is just shocking.
Yeah.
So when you say indigenous people don't get heart disease, that's like a big flag. What?
Totally. Also, they don't spike their blood sugar, and that is directly related to heart health, not just diabetes and insulin resistance anymore. It's cancer. Sugars float around in the bloodstream and cause free radical damage, and thyroid dysfunction, depressed immunity, systemic inflammation. You name it, the top 10 degenerative diseases are because we package food and we spike our blood sugar
with
throughout the day.
Sodas and everything else. And that's that is the topic of today for having you on the show. Just after the break, we will discuss the glycemic aspect of a diet. And I don't really know what the word glycemic means, so you can explain that, but I know that it relates to the sugar levels in foods.
Yeah.
I know that much. And then getting to a lower glycemic index diet gently. I imagine it's not something you can just dive headfirst into.
You'll get withdrawal symptoms.
We'll talk a little about fat versus sugar metabolism, and then you'll share a couple of recipes as well, I believe, right? For the lavender poppy cake, which sounds delicious.
Yeah.
And the photo was titled Cookie Pile that you sent me, and I wasn't sure if that's the name of the recipe or the picture because it was a pile of cookies.
Well, they're two different. There's a cookie recipe and a lemon lavender poppy seed cake. But
excellent.
I could give you several cookie recipes.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, we will talk about those things coming up in just a moment. You are listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network's Market Fresh Hour. I'm your host, Randall White. We're with Courtney Coleman of cookwell.org, and back in just a moment.
Luna Red Restaurant in downtown San Luis Obispo is the perfect spot for a weekend brunch offered every Saturday and Sunday from 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Enjoy farm-to-table breakfast plates such as the Ribba Benedicts, Mission Steak and Eggs, and quinoa waffles topped with fresh market berries. Or opt for a lunch plate such as the grilled Asian-style fish taco salad or the roast chicken bacon avocado sandwich. Lounge on the sunny patio with views of the historical Mission Plaza while savoring our bottomless mimosas offered from 9:30 a.m. to noon. Hang out on Sunday afternoons from 3 to 5 p.m. and catch our live music on the patio during $5 happy hour. Luna Red also accommodates large parties, so call us today to make a reservation. Follow us on Facebook for daily specials and visit our website, lunaredslo.com, to view current seasonal menus, our live music schedule, or check out our happy hour offerings. Luna Red is located at 1023 Choro Street at the corner of Monterey. Come to be fulfilled.
The award-winning Sunset Savor the Central Coast is once again set to highlight San Luis Obispo County this September 26th to the 29th. Many of your favorite events are returning to the lineup, as well as some new ways to play. Don't miss Sunset in the Vineyard on Saturday, September 28th at the Vina Robles Amphitheater. Start the night under a star-filled pastel sky with a food and wine reception. Celebrity chef Michael Voltaggio will be on hand for a special book signing, and Grammy Award-winning Kobe Calais will perform her hit songs. Also new this year is the Savor Run, a 5 and 10K run or walk through downtown San Luis Obispo on Sunday, September 29th. A portion of your entry fee for this event helps rehabilitate local cancer survivors. For these events and more ways to play at this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, visit savorcentralcoast.com.
And welcome back to the program, everyone. 19 minutes past the hour. Great to have you with us here on the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. This is our Market Fresh Hour, and I am your host, Randall White, and talking about all things fresh when it comes to the foods and the beverages that we have here in California. We're incredibly spoiled, but we like to also explain how to prepare those things so you can enjoy them and be healthy while you're at it. So we bring to the program Courtney Coleman of cookwell.org. Courtney was incredibly popular the last couple of times we had her on the show, and so we thought, you know what? Let's bring her on a regular basis so she could share her tips. You know, people pay to have her explain how to cook and those sorts of things in personal classes and group classes and those sorts of things. But you get it right here for free right now. And you can always follow up with the information that Courtney gives you at cookwell.org. First off, Courtney, let's talk a little bit about the glycemic aspect of a diet. And this is the sugar composition, right?
It's how fast foods turn to sugars in the bloodstream, right? So fruit, especially anything with high fructose corn syrup or white sugar, those are all simple sugars that hit the bloodstream really pretty fast and spike the blood sugar pretty high pretty fast. And what we want in our diet are more complex carbohydrates that preferably have fiber and minerals, like from whole grains, starchy root veggies with the skins. Fat and protein tend to slow sugar's absorption into the bloodstream. So you could have kind of a large serving of yams, but if you had the butter or coconut oil with it, and maybe, whatever protein source on your plate too, it wouldn't be so spiky so fast. And that's what is preventative for a lot of diseases, is not spiking the blood sugar so high as the standard American diet usually does with the white rice or white potatoes or the white sugar stuff, and the Wonder Bread.
Yeah.
Wheat is real high glycemic.
By the way, Courtney, when we had you on the show previously, you talked about soaking your grains ahead of time. And just in my refrigerator right now is a dish of brown rice that I made with leeks.
Nice.
And I took it a couple of steps farther, or further or farther in that one. I'm not sure. Further, I think. I took it a couple of steps further, and what I did is I soaked them overnight, almost 24 hours. Then I drained off that water. Then I sort of rinsed them with filtered water, and I bought something called a sprouting jar. And so it's got a mesh top on one end. It's like a big, huge container, and then you tip it sort of in a bowl so that the water can drain out, so that the grains aren't just sitting in water. They stay moist.
Right.
You sort of rinse them or re-moisten them 2 or 3 times a day for a couple of days.
Right.
And you could see the little sprouts coming out.
Yeah, the little tails.
Yeah, little tiny tails. And that's when I knew it was ready to go, because I'm not trying to grow full-blown sprouts. I just want the grain to be at the full germination process.
Yeah, they say the longer you let it sprout, the more nutritious it becomes, the more amino acids it gains, and easier to digest. And there's a neutralization of something called phytic acid, which would otherwise bind with minerals in the intestine and inhibit mineral absorption. So even if you just soak it for 24 hours under a couple inches of water, right in the saucepan you're going to cook it in, and then replace it with soak water and simmer it, you're really enhancing that magnesium uptake. Brown rice is real high in magnesium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just taking it that extra step. And it's if you just get in the habit of having something soaking at all times, you really can just increase the nutrient value of your meals by quite a bit. I have some lentils going right now. I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah, I like to, as soon as I scrape out of the bottom of the pan that I have left over in the fridge of my brown rice or buckwheat or black beans or whatever, I'm soaking another pot to cook the next day.
On to the next one.
Yeah. And if I don't have time to cook the next day, I can soak it up to 3 days, as long as I replace that soak water with fresh water every 24 hours. And I usually try to cook my big pot of beans and my pot of grain and maybe even a stir fry to reheat before I get busy.
Yeah.
So for most people, that's like Sunday.
Right. Because once you get busy, then you're like, forget it. Give me the minute rice.
Ugh.
Right? Which is just minute rice. You might as well just have a ding dong. I mean, seriously. All right, let's talk about why getting lower glycemic gently is important.
Oh, because the headaches and tiredness you will get when you stop spiking the blood sugar.
And then you think, well, this isn't good for me because now I'm just tired, and but it's your body's got to readjust.
Right, and it takes a good 2-3 weeks to get over those really intense sugar cravings, tiredness, and headache. But you can step down gently and slowly and eliminate all those symptoms. You can just have 2 cookies instead of 3 for a week. Yeah. And then the next week have 1 cookie instead of 2. So you're gently baby stepping down. And then you're carrying figs or dates or raisins in your wallet or purse or whatever have them with you so you can pop a few just to take the edge off of that headache and tiredness when it comes around again.
Right.
And gently stepping down like that makes it so much more doable, because those withdrawal symptoms are really debilitating. People can't hang.
No.
Yeah.
And I do have a little bit of a sweet tooth. What I end up doing is going to, where you just taught a class recently at New Frontiers, or, Whole Foods has these also where they have in the bakery items that are cooked with whole spelt flour or whatever it might be, tofu in place of some of the more fatty elements, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, they taste just as good. It almost makes me wonder why even go the other route.
Yeah, well, New Frontiers is a really great stepping stone down. And, Trader Joe's has some stuff, too, that's not so sugary.
Mm-hmm.
But, ultimately working down to a piece of fruit being this wonderfully sweet delight is how indigenous people stay so healthy so late into life.
Let's talk about fat versus sugar metabolism a little bit more.
Okay.
And how clearly fat takes longer for your body to break down, right?
Yeah, and it yields 9 calories of energy per
gram,
whatever it is.
I think it's per gram.
Per gram.
And then sugar is 4.
Sugar and carbs are 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much more energy dense. What happens in our culture is that we're raised on sugary cereals, and then we get, pasta or white bread stuff for lunch, and we come home, we have potatoes, a ton of potatoes or whatever for dinner. And all these high glycemic foods in our diet regularly since we're children clocks our metabolism to running on sugar instead of running on fat, as the human body is designed to do. Mm-hmm. We are designed to run on fat.
And we went through such a long period in the United States of low fat, no fat.
Oh, I know.
And what we didn't realize is that it's the type of fat.
Right. And you have to get those good fats for skin and hair and brain and nerves and hormone balance and heart health. If you don't get any of the bad cholesterol, your liver will begin to overproduce it. I mean, the list goes on.
I just cringe when I think for how many years I tried to live a low to no fat existence. I just think, we just didn't know,
Yeah.
I won't even get into my love for Velveeta, but I can't help it. I know that it's wrong, and yet I'll gravitate toward it. Not recently, not this year. I went, vegetarian, vegan, but.
But incorporate that good coconut oil, all the avocado, the omega-3s, your krill oil or fish oil, really, really important. And when you are finally lower glycemic in your diet, your body will switch back to burning fats for fuel. And you will drop that extra 5 or 10 pounds, not even trying, because your metabolism has gotten so efficient. And you will be craving the good quality fats, the good quality butter, that Organic Valley brand pasture butter that's seasonal from pasture-fed cows.
Right.
Is amazing. There's nothing like it. When you taste that, you can't go back. And when that's true. When that's not in season, I get their cultured butter, which is available year round. But
Courtney Coleman with cookwell.org. We didn't get to the lavender pop cake or the cookies, but you can find those on our website, and we'll have to set up a zone on our website where you can get those recipes as well. Courtney, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Randall.
Stick around, everyone. We are talking wine waste coming up next.
Gary and Marcy Eberly of Eberly Winery invite you to a Harvest Festival dinner in the Caves with Top Chef Trey Wilcox. Friday, October 18th at 6 p.m. Chef Trey Wilcox has won numerous awards, both locally and nationally, and was named one of Food and Wine's best new chefs. Wilcox is all too familiar with the world of chefs and their egos. He was on Top Chef after all, but has no patience with famous for being famous shtick. He would rather just be known for his cooking, and his food is delicious. A perfect blend with Eberly's award-winning wines and the backdrop of their famous caves. Get ready for an amazing dining experience during Harvest Festival. Call Eberly Winery today. 238-9607. That's 238-9607. Dinner in the Caves at Eberly Winery with Top Chef Trey Wilcox. For more information, log on to eberlywinery.com. Dinner in the Caves on Friday, October 18th during Harvest Festival at Eberly. Located on Highway 46, just 3 miles east of the 101 in the heart of Paso Robles wine country.
Seems everybody's going organic, including lawn care. Did you know communities across the country are converting their lawns, playgrounds, and playing fields to an organic care program? And it's working. You can safely control weeds and pests and have a beautiful lawn. Your kids, pets, and water supplies will be safer, and your neighbors will be green with envy. Oh, and in the long run, organic lawn care is cheaper than doing it the conventional way. Switch to organic lawn care today. Visit pesticidefreelawns.org, the folks who brought you this public service message. Check out pesticidefreelawns.org today.
At the American Lung Association, we're fighting for a day when we can all breathe easier. We're fighting for clear skies over every city. and healthy lungs throughout the country. We're fighting to free millions of Americans from the addictive grip of tobacco and the devastating effects of lung disease. The American Lung Association isn't just fighting for air, we're fighting for all the things that make it worth breathing, and we can use your help. See what you can do at fightingforair.org.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. I'm your host, Randall White, coming to you live in each and every week. And did I already say it's 33 minutes past the hour? If I didn't, it is. And we should let you know that this hour of the program is brought to you by Luna Red Restaurant, just off Mission Plaza in downtown San Luis Obispo. The perfect location to enjoy happy hour in the downtown. That's a $5 happy hour Sunday through Wednesday from 3 to 6 p.m. and on Thursdays all day long. So whether you're visiting San Luis Obispo or you call that stretch of the Central Coast your home, Luna Red is a locavore's dream. For more information, head to lunaredslo.com. All right, everyone. Let's, there are as we mentioned on the show last week, this is California Wine Month, and there are so many different events going on from, way up in Mendocino County, all the way down through Temecula, along the Sierra foothills, of course, in the Paso Robles region, and we've got the Santa Cruz Mountains, the Livermore Valley, and then, the big daddies, Sonoma and Napa Valleys. And that is where our next guest, Paul Novak, presides over the Whole Vine Company, where he takes the leftovers, the seeds and the skin from this multi-billion-dollar industry and turns it into some very useful and very healthy food products. Paul joins us on the live line right now to talk a little bit about that. Welcome to the program, sir.
Hey, Randall, how are you today?
Terrific. Thank you. And I just love the idea of your company because it serves so many purposes. First of all, there's not a lot of waste going into landfill and that sorts of things, but also the health aspects of this. Years ago when I was working for a local television station along the Central Coast, I had a series called Down to Earth, and it was all about, sort of green ways of doing business. And I took a look at a company out of Santa Barbara that was taking the seeds from the crush and turning it into healthcare products like, makeup and lotions and that sort of thing. I hadn't heard about turning things into flour and food products along the lines of what you're doing.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Mostly what people do with grape seeds is make grapeseed oil out of it, and you can see it in the supermarket, and a lot of cosmetics carry it. It's very good for your skin. Generally speaking, that's highly refined grapeseed oil, and that's because they get the seeds out of the pumice pile, and they've already molded. So to make it smell good, they have to really heavily refine it. We make, and one of the key things is in some ways we didn't know, but because we're fine wine people, we treated the pumice like we would fine wine to keep all the flavors.
Yeah.
And that caused a cascade of things which a lot of experts who'd been in the business for 25 or 30 years, for example, in the oil business, say, we've never tasted grapeseed oils like these, and they're all different by variety. And we go, well, yeah, they're wine grapes. And when we created the skin flour, especially, nobody'd seen skin flour. They'd seen pumice flour, which is kind of the grind-up-everything method. But we'd separated the seeds, and when we saw that, we said, well, in separating the seeds, we separated the skin. So what happens when we grind up in the flour? And so we gave all this stuff to the executive chef and his team at Kendall Jackson, which is our sister company.
Okay, yeah.
And they started playing with this stuff, going, hey, this stuff's really cool. And then we started looking at, well, what's in it? And then that's when we started to find out how many nutrients are in it. How much, the seed flours are around 15% protein, and they're nearly complete protein. If they had a little more tryptophan, they would be a complete protein. And
wow.
They're very high in minerals. Matter of fact, Corey, which is Children's Hospital Oakland Research Institute, which is the 8th largest recipient of NIH funds, they did some testing on the metals for our flours because we were concerned that we could have some heavy metals. You never know on new things.
Mm-hmm.
And the researcher, Dr. David Killeley, was so excited about what he found, he drove all the way up to Santa Rosa to see us, and he says, I have good news and I have very good news. The good news is you have virtually none of the bad things. There's trace amounts, but all living things have trace amounts. And he said the good news is you have high quantities of the good metals, and they're in the right proportions. And this is just one of the cascades that we have found in this product.
Sounds like you all surprised yourselves when you went through this process and started separating everything out, putting the Chardonnay seeds and skins with the Chardonnay seeds and skins and the Cabernet and such. Did you all just look at each other and say, wow, we've really stumbled on something?
Yes, every day we look at each other and say we've stumbled on something. I have a great story. When the executive chef gave one of his friends, another chef, some of our skin flour from Merlot. And the guy goes, I have this really interesting idea. I'm going to smoke with it, and meaning smoke meats.
Yeah.
And so Justin, the executive chef, says, that's a crazy idea. And then he tasted the food and said, God, that's delicious. So now he does it. So every day we find things. A product developer that we had hired to do some work for us found that if you use a little of the seed flour in either making meringues or making whipped cream, they whip better and they stay much longer. We don't know why, it just does.
Oh, wow. There must be some component in there that really keeps the structure of the bubble or whatever, the meringue.
Exactly. And we know that the flours, for example, really like water. And once they get a hold of it, so it's a really interesting thing.
So when you're making, say, a cookie or bread using these flours, how much of the flour can you use as the base? Do you have to mix in other flours like a wheat flour or a spelt flour to boost its ability, or can you use 100% of this?
No, you want to use small quantities. Think of it as a complexing agent that adds flavor and texture and minerals.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, and normally what we tell people is somewhere between 5 and 15% of what you would normally use in flour of cookies or cakes should be our flours. And they'll add all these really interesting dimensions to things.
Now, Paul, I use grapeseed oil on a regular basis, but I always use it for like making popcorn, because I know it has a high smoke point. So I will, turn up the flame as much as I can on our stove, and I'll put the grapeseed oil in there, and then I'll let the oil get really hot. And my chef friend, Chris, has taught me that I put 2 or 3 seeds in there until kernels of corn until one of them pops, then put the rest of the kernels in and put the top on it. And I'm pretty successful of popping just about every single kernel. But when I look at the picture that you shared with us, and for those of you watching our video simulcast online at eatdrinkexplore.com, these oils have a wide range. They look more like a dipping oil. I feel like I'd be wasting it if I was using it to make popcorn.
Well, actually, one of the recipes on our website is what we call undercover butter popcorn. And if you use the Chardonnay oil in small quantities, it actually is so buttery, and it gets more buttery as it gets warm. It makes terrific popcorn.
Just like when people drink a Chardonnay, specifically from the Napa and Sonoma Valleys, they'll often say it's buttery. And so that carries over to the seed, huh?
Exactly. And each of the varietal oils have a unique flavor profile that we've now been in 3 vintages that, much like wine, there's a unique flavor profile for Zinfandel or Cabernet. Mm-hmm. That carries over into the oils, too. And so the Chardonnay oil is the most golden in color, and it is the most buttery. Cabernet and Pinot Noir are so dark green in color that they're nearly black in the small bottles, and they are intensely aromatic. But like Cabernet is aromatic in the sense of it has kind of, this sounds funny, kind of bourbon, wood, those kinds of flavors. Pinot Noir has more earthy tones, and you can use all these oils to add flavor and dimension to all kinds of things.
Yeah, it sounds like they'd make great finishing oils, or using them on top of a salad, that sort of idea.
Right, but you can also do things like add a little Riesling oil to white chocolate, and it makes incredible white chocolate.
Oh, wow. I never thought of that.
Okay.
That whole aspect. You're going to have a multi-tiered, multi-level food corporation by the time you're done with this, because it sounds like these seeds and skins can be worked into just about everything.
They can be worked into a lot, and that's why we're working with a lot of the best people that we can find. For example, we have a consulting master baker. His name is Craig Ponsford, and if your guests haven't heard about him, Craig was the first American to win a gold medal at Coupe du Monde in Paris, which is the baking event of the world, and he won it for a baguette in Paris. Now, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys we're working with to explore how these flours particularly, but also the oils work. In his realm is primarily breads and baking. So he's exploring all that stuff, and there's some amazing things that'll happen. That's another whole show in itself.
Paul, it seems like the Chardonnay, if the flours carry on that buttery flavor as well, that it would be great to work some of that into a nice sourdough loaf, so that you have that buttery flavor without the butter.
Well, yeah, but the flavor is much like Chardonnay. When you say a Chardonnay is buttery, it has all kinds of other complex flavors in it too. And when you talk about the oils and the flours, the flavors within them aren't, I'm going to use the term pointy. If you think strawberry kind of has one flavor that you think of.
I'm going to have you wrap it up in 5 seconds, Paul. Can you do that?
I can. Anyway, our products are terrific. They're very complex, and they add a lot to the cooking world.
Paul Novak, wholevine.com. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Luna Red Restaurant in downtown San Luis Obispo is the perfect spot for a weekend brunch offered every Saturday and Sunday from 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Enjoy farm-to-table breakfast plates such as the Ribbit Benedicts, Mission steak and eggs, and quinoa waffles topped with fresh market berries. Or opt for a lunch plate such as the grilled Asian-style fish taco salad or the roast chicken bacon avocado sandwich. Lounge on the sunny patio with views of the historical Mission Plaza while savoring our bottomless mimosas offered from 9:30 a.m. to noon. Hang out on Sunday afternoons from 3 to 5 p.m. and catch our live music on the patio during $5 happy hour. Luna Red also accommodates large parties, so call us today to make a reservation. Follow us on Facebook for daily specials and visit our website, lunaredslo.com, to view current seasonal menus, our live music schedule, or check out our happy hour offerings. Luna Red is located at 1023 Choro Street at the corner of Monterey. Come to be fulfilled.
The award-winning Sunset Savor the Central Coast is once again set to highlight San Luis Obispo County this September 26th to the 29th. Many of your favorite events are returning to the lineup, as well as some new ways to play. Don't miss Sunset in the Vineyard on Saturday, September 28th at the Vina Robles Amphitheater. Start the night under a star-filled Paso Robles sky with a food and wine reception. Celebrity chef Michael Voltaggio will be on hand for a special book signing, and Grammy Award-winning Kobe Calais will perform her hit songs. Also new this year is the Savor Run, a 5 and 10K run or walk through downtown San Luis Obispo on Sunday, September 29th. A portion of your entry fee for this event helps rehabilitate local cancer survivors. For these events and more ways to play at this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, visit savorcentralcoast.com.
.49 the time now here, and welcome back, everyone. It is now 49 minutes past the hour. Time for the final segment of the Eat, Drink, Explore Market Fresh Hour. Keep in mind, there's another whole hour of great food, great craft beer, wine, travel, and tourism talk. Sundays, 5 to 9. All right. Sorry about that. That was a segment that we had to record last week, and it played again. I do that on a regular basis, and I apologize to our regular listeners. Okay, let's get right to it now for this final segment. As I mentioned at the beginning of this hour, that we are solidly in September now, and some of the produce at your market will start to change a bit as we work in some of the produce items that are just peaking in September, October, November, and such. And along those lines are pomegranates. Pomegranates have been in the news a lot lately. called a superfood for some of their attributes. One of the families growing pomegranates here in California for a long time is, let me make sure I get this right, Simonet. I wrote it down so that I would be able to say it correctly, and now I don't have that sheet in front of me anymore. Well, you know what? I'm just going to ask him straight up. Jeff, there it is. Simonian. Wait, did I say Jeff, help me out here. How do you say your last name?
Simonian.
Simonian. I wrote it down thinking I was really smart the way I wrote it, and that's exactly how I wrote it. But sometimes I fool myself. At any rate, Jeff, thank you for coming on the program here to talk a little bit about pomegranates because, the season really picks up this month, does it not?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yes, it does. Yeah, this is kind of the beginning of the pomegranate season. So October and November are actually the peaks, and then we kind of tail off after the first of the year.
And where do pomegranates grow in California? I know that your company is located just south of Fresno, but what's the growing range for these?
Yeah. Well, all the way south as far as Bakersfield, and then as far north up to, say, Merced. But the majority is kind of the Central Valley, like, a lot of our crops.
Right, exactly. That San Joaquin Valley seems to be about the right climate for just about everything, including pomegranates. But they didn't start here in North America. Their roots are in the Middle East?
Yes, that's correct.
And so I would imagine that many of the dishes involving pomegranates come from the Middle East, and there might be some people scratching their head saying, what do I do with this thing?
Yeah. No, that's true. We work very closely with the Pomegranate Council, and we do a whole part on educating people about pomegranates, and recipes is a big part of it.
Right, because you can have all the juice and prepackaged seeds that you can get at Trader Joe's now and such, but if you don't know what to do with it when you get it home, I know some people just skip that whole route and take pomegranate supplements and such because they have been really... Pomegranates are like blueberries are one of those superfoods. What is it that's in a pomegranate that has all the studies and the doctors and the scientists saying, hey, this is something you should be working into your diet?
Well, the big one is the antioxidants. I mean, research has been done to say these have more antioxidants than green tea, than blueberries, and all these other superfoods. So that's really the thing that's been driving consumption. So
more than green tea and blueberries, ounce per ounce?
Yeah, it's from what the studies that we've seen. So
yeah. So Jeff, you grew up with pomegranates. I know I had a friend that had a pomegranate tree in his backyard. In fact, I have friends that have pomegranate trees in their backyard now too. But when I was a kid, we'd pull them off, and I remember sitting there on a hot summer day, or I guess it was a hot like late September day. You know how California is, and I was, you tear off big chunks of it, and then you have this white like skin that you had to pull off, and I was like, this is such a pain. But then I'd get a few seeds in my mouth and I'd be like, oh, but it tastes so good. Do you have any tricks, like some family tricks because you grew up with these, for getting those seeds out with little work?
Yeah. Well, the big method that we try and teach people how to eat these things is kind of the underwater method.
Oh.
So where you would score them in quarters, almost like an orange, and then you would take each quarter under kind of a colander of water, and you just break them up. And the seeds are heavy, so actually they sink to the bottom, and then the membrane and the skin and everything floats to the top. So it's an easy way to kind of open them without making a mess.
If I remember correctly, that membrane is a little bitter, like it doesn't taste so good.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, you definitely don't want to eat that.
So through cross-breeding and such, have pomegranate growers like your family worked to increase the number of seeds that are inside these, or they're pretty much maxed out as they are?
No, it's the number that's in there is what's in there. So
yeah.
There has been some different things done on new varieties, and there's a couple that have come up, but it's not like a lot of these other crops where there's hundreds of varieties and crosses coming out.
It's pretty much one type of pomegranate, and that's it.
Yeah. The wonderful variety is kind of the main variety and the most popular variety, and that's usually harvested in October. So a lot of customers and people look for that one.
And it's called the Wonderful variety?
It's called the Wonderful variety, correct.
Oh, so that makes sense with the brand Palm Wonderful.
Yeah, and that's they only grow the wonderful variety, and that's kind of how their whole name came about. So.
Right. Okay, that makes total sense now. I know that within these berries or seeds, the outer portion of it is the juicy portion, and then there's a harder seed in the middle. Is there anything more you can get out of that seed? We just had somebody on the show that was talking about taking grape seeds and turning it into any number of things. Can you do that same thing with that hard inner core of the pomegranate?
Well, like most seeds in these fruits, that's where all the nutrients are. So I think there are some companies that are using the seeds and they're crushing them up, and I think some of those pomegranate pills and those different products they're making, I think they do come from the seed, but I really don't know myself. So
Right. And so is there anything tricky to picking these? Is it something that needs to be done by hand, or can you mechanize a system for picking pomegranates?
Well, fresh market, we pick them by hand. There have been some companies that pick them just for juice market, and they've used machines. But for the fresh market, we want them big and pretty and perfect, so we pick them by hand.
Right. How many of the pomegranates that your family grows go to, grocery stores and that sort of thing? And then do some of yours end up at farmers markets?
Most of them go to grocery stores, and then we actually send quite a few overseas. So it's a big item that's demanded overseas. So.
Right. You ship them to Asia or back to the Middle East where they're used to using them, or?
Well, the largest export market is Korea. They use, for it being a small country of maybe 60 million people or whatever it is, they take an enormous amount of pomegranates there.
Right. Really? Korea?
Yeah, Korea.
What I find them great in is salads. I love using it to give you that little bite to a salad, the same way you would use maybe some orange sections and that sort of thing. Well, Jeff Simonian, right?
Correct. You got
it. Good. Jeff Simonian of Simonian Fruit Company. You can find more information at simonianfruit.com, and that's spelled SIMONIAN fruit.com. Talking about pomegranates being in season. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks again for having me.
All right, everyone, that does it for another hour of Market Fresh. We'll catch you next week.